What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Jack Finney, your never popular host of the slowest growing Battlebots podcast in all of creation. Joined, as always, by Australia's greatest export, who, once again, I cannot be bothered to make up the ostentatious little titles for, Makon Crayley, the Mac. How you doing, Mac?
3 weeks in a row, eh? You have nothing.
3 weeks in a row, eh?
Shut the fuck up. You know.
That's how shocked you are. That's how shocked you are at it.
Look.
3 weeks in a row. Or woe is you, because I no longer waste the effort on you.
Man, fuck you.
Hey, you know you love it, Mac. How you doing today, anyway?
This is straight up the reverse of, like, the fucking Battlebots intro.
Yes. Well, let's face it, we're basically the Bizarro Chris and Kenny at this point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of.
Although you're more the Chris and I'm more the Kenny, aren't we? Since, I'm the guy who actually does martial arts, whereas you
I
do
guess. I guess, yeah. I guess.
Well, I suppose in the Bizarro one, then Chris would be the one who did the martial arts. So questions for later. This is why I don't. This is why I don't do DC, man.
Good grief. Anyway, we have a good episode today.
Yes, it was a very good episode and a real highlight episode for the, until now, unsung competitors by all accounts.
Oh, yeah.
Now, of course, the vibe between Chris and Kenny is still the absolute best. Because, like, even with their little friendship edition stuff, like, that you could tell was a joke, they still have the most wholesome hosting relationship of any duo on TV right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the chemistry between these two is always off the charts. They just have fantastic comedic timing together.
Oh yes, it's always delightful to hear them like just sort of go like, just have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, we come to the very first fight of the night, and what a fight it turned out to be: Blacksmith versus Malice. Oh,
this was a very strong opener.
Oh, yeah, like, both of us backed Blacksmith going in, and, of course, we know that we turned out wrong, but, the showing that Blacksmith put in, all things considered, I'm still very glad that we backed them, because, yeah, Blacksmith was fantastic in this fight, as was Malice.
Yeah, Blacksmith, once again, was just an absolute tank.
Yes, absolutely. Coming in with the big fuck-off spinner killer plow, which is a new item for them, as far as I can tell, isn't it? At least currently, because up in the previous fights, it's been using the fort configuration, hasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so this was the time they came in with the big plow, obviously aiming to tank Malice's blows, and all things considered, that worked out fairly well. Not for their weapon, because they unfortunately had their weapon down at the wrong moment, and Malice ripped the weapon to pieces, but that plow remained unbreached throughout the entire fight.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, it was a brilliant recoil hit from Malice to, like, send Blacksmith flying at one point, wrecking the weapon, and this was just an absolute slobber knocker between the two of these, an absolute brawl.
Yeah.
As Blacksmith fell back into the tank strategy of trying to break Malice's weapon with its face, and credit to Malice, considering it had the absolutely enormously powerful Blacksmith constantly ramming into its weapon. That weapon never died this time.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they've finally managed to fix the weapon reliability issues that they were having.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but this was definitely a fantastic knockdown drag-out roll, and this really highlighted how fantastically driven Blacksmith really is, because the control demonstrated in this was fantastic, constantly staying centered and aggressive, even as it was developing drive issues and its weapon, its flamethrower ultimately feeding in on itself and causing the robot to go up in smoke.
Yeah.
Blacksmith constantly remained controlled, constantly kept its nose on Malice, and was constantly on the attack, trying its absolute hardest to, break the weapon and remain competitive. It wasn't a competitive fight at all, but it really just... The courage of Blacksmith was really shining through in this, and it was just an absolute joy to watch this fight.
Yeah, it wasn't a competitive fight, but it was a strong fight. It was a tough fight.
Yeah, it was like that when it finished, there was no doubt that Malice had won, but Blacksmith had more than given a good account of itself because Malice was starting to limp a little bit by the end of it.
Yeah,
Its weapon was still running, but it was operating a bit more sluggishly.
yeah, exactly.
And like even with Blacksmith like losing partial drive and being on fire, it constantly stayed controlled, aggressive, and was just it just would not die. It was amazing.
You love
It
to
was
see
like
it.
it was like Black Dragon versus Rotator, except without it dying in the final seconds.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much. I think that yeah, that'd probably be the closest like comparison.
And this is something that we also need to point out here. Despite losing the judge's decision, there was no sign of Grumpy Al Kindle this time.
Hey, you love to see it.
Yeah, if anything, he actually looked very satisfied. Like, I
Oh,
lost, but I'm actually completely okay with this.
oh yeah, like that's absolutely not a fight to be disappointed by. Like that was one of the best. That was a brilliant goddamn showing.
Oh, absolutely. One of the best fights of the season, and one I'm very, very glad to have watched. 9 out of 10 from me.
Yeah, I agree. That was perfect opener.
Yes. Now, following on from that, we have Black Dragon versus Claw Viper. Of course, both of us came into this backing Black Dragon.
Yep.
Because Claw Viper, unfortunately, has always been shown to be quite unreliable. And it's a shame because you can tell there's a lot of potential in that machine.
There is. There absolutely is. But today just was not its day.
Yeah, like we were thinking going in, this is a big rematch for Claw Viper, so there's a chance they may have been able to come back from their previous loss to Black Dragon in the previous season. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out like that. Black Dragon coming in with its flamer intentionally disabled this time so that they could focus on the spinner. But the duck was as adorable as ever.
Of course.
Gotta love that little duck, man.
Everyone does.
One of the one of the best little mascots out there, along with Wally.
Yeah, yes.
But that being said, coming into this fight, Claw Viper actually did start out very strongly, box rushing Black Dragon immediately, getting a good grip on it, and actually managing to land a pretty convincing suplex on it.
Oh yeah, like it. Honestly, yeah, like Claw Viper had the control like very early on, like, but after that first suplex, like it kept like sort of flipping over itself, like while trying to suplex, and I guess I don't know what would have caused that.
Well, I think that the big thing there is after it landed that big suplex, Black Dragon basically rebounded into one of Claw Viper's back wheels and essentially crippled it.
Oh,
and that took away a big
okay.
portion of its drive throughout the fight and ended up, robbing Claw Viper of any ability to be able to take control of the fight at that point. Because Black Dragon is a robot, if you show it one little weakness, it's going to hone right in on it and, it's going to completely rip you apart if it can.
True.
Now, I think that this did highlight the potential of Claw Viper. Like, if they can avoid situations like that in the future where they end up losing part of their drive, and if they can, fix the overall reliability issues they've been plagued with since debut, I think that they could still go quite far.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, after all, Claw Viper operates on the principle of the of Storm 2, if you'll remember from Robot Wars as well. Albeit not with the same full body hammer approach and having an actual suplexing type of weapon rather than just a lifting arm.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, a strong start to the fight, but unfortunately it petered out quite quickly. Therefore, 6 out of 10 for this fight, I'd say.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
All right. Up next, we had a highlight package regarding the shelf and how it's affected the season so far. And we also had a bunch of statistics involving it. And overall, it seems to present the shelf as largely being a bit of a net positive, the way that they've operated on kind of a boxing ring principle, where it's now a lot easier to corner opponents in corners, and also how it's forcing a lot more head-on fights as well, rather than just a lot of zipping around the arena. So overall, it looks like they are presenting the shelf as a net positive for the season. And so far, despite my apprehensions about the shelf going in, I've actually quite enjoyed how it's been utilized. So I don't have an issue with it, but it will remain to be seen throughout the rest of the season, I guess.
Yeah, like I was always like sort of cautiously optimistic about the Stealth. So I'm glad that like it's actually improving a lot of things in like certain areas.
Of course, the big thing is how they've highlighted how those slats are now preventing out of the arena flips for the most part. As we've seen, it's not impossible to get out of the arena, as we've seen and will see again later on. But overall, honestly, it's honestly been kind of an improvement the way that the slats have been preventing out of the arena flips for the most parts, because it's resulted in a bunch of fights that otherwise would have ended right away.
Yeah.
And we would have been robbed of some great matchups if not for those slats. Like, for example, Lucky versus Tantrum.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any thoughts on the slats, Mac?
They're there. They exist. They help. I mean, pretty much summed it up. So I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, it's like I enjoy a good out of the arena flip, and I'm glad that they haven't been eliminated totally.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, overall I'd say it has been a bit more of a positive than a negative having those slats in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming up next, we have another bout of trying to break your opponent's weapon with your face, as it was Smee
Oh, good. Jeez.
versus Gigabyte.
I have no idea how much of the goddamn like the recording actually caught that. So, God, that's gonna sound super weird, like in the actual video.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I won't be trying to do the Captain Hook imitation again.
Probably not.
You can just dub it over with the actual Captain Hook if you want. I don't care.
I mean, mate, look, this episode goes out like 4 hours. I don't have time to fucking find video, audio. Anyway, Smee.
Yes, Smee versus Gigabyte. And both Mac and I backed Smee for this one because we know that Smee is designed largely to frustrate horizontal spinners like Gigabyte. There was a solid hypothetical strategy coming in from both teams. Smee, with rather than the usual little long wedge that it's got, this one it was bringing in basically a brick wall type of dealie here, and it looked like a solid hypothetical strategy. But after a slow start, a great kick by Gigabyte, and eventually Gigabyte managed to just rip part of Smee to pieces after it, especially when it managed to kick it up into the air and basically flip it over via the recoil. That was amazing.
Yeah, this was a pretty fun fight. Like, not a lot happened, but like the stuff that did happen was like pretty fun.
It was a slow build up with a satisfying payoff. A good knockout there.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about this other than it looks like Team Guy Fieri is probably going to be getting into the overall tournament now.
Probably, yeah. Okay, so during the replay, like, Chris said a line that was, "No tires, no movement." Boy, that's gotta come to play in 2 fights.
Oh, well said.
Yep.
Okay, so 7 out of 10 for Smee.
Yep.
Versus Gigabyte.
Yes. Have you seen? Have you?
Sound a little bit better.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Have you read Smee's profile on the website?
I have not. No.
Oh, okay. Because I was looking at it because I needed to get the name for the cards like on the screen, and like, God. Okay, so the builder info bit is pretty good. So we have the builder's name. So yep. And we have job. E. We have years competing. E. We have favorite tool. E. We have favorite robot. E. And we have interesting fact. Let's wait. 1. E. That's so many E's. I love it.
Oh well, Mike, you went ultrasonic there for a second.
I know. I had to do it for the bit. It's so good. Dude, there's so many E's.
Ultimately becoming Tinnitus the robot there.
I apologize. Oh my God, I didn't even consider that. I apologize.
Okay, so 7 out of 10 for Gigabyte taking Smee to Flavor Town.
Yeah, yes.
Now, coming up next, we had what was oh boy, where are even the final words for this fight? Hydra versus Glitch.
Upset.
Oh boy.
Upset is the actual fucking word.
Yes, right. Okay, so Mac and I both backing Hydra coming into this,
Yeah.
not because we wanted to, but because it's just
It's
always
Hydra.
a safe bet to bet on Hydra.
Yeah.
And my note here: what a rough draw for the rookies on paper, or at least it would seem, because I had seen a still from the fight beforehand, but I didn't know the result because
Okay.
you can't go from one still deciding to figuring out who's going to win the fight. For all I know, it could have been a lucky hit.
Okay. What was the
And my
skill?
other note here, it was actually a glitch knocking Hydra into the air.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I don't think it was the big hit that came later on. I think it was the first hit that set that up.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Hydra always well driven, as we know, but Glitch's Omni wheels could make all the difference here. Was my other
Oh, wait, you're right.
my other note? Pardon me. Yeah, sorry, I just had a Coke, so yeah.
Ah, fair.
But yeah, Hydra managing a mighty flip early on, but oh boy, they backed off a little bit and they really paid for it because Glitch somehow managing to stabilize itself, mainly through the gyroscopic motions of the weapon, if I'm remembering correctly, as that managed to keep it stable in the air, and while it did bounce it and end up upside down, it managed to right itself and it came back super strongly as it managed to slip around and managed to hit Hydra really goddamn hard.
Yes.
Punt it into the air, and oh boy, what came next was like we were left utterly speechless at this for a few seconds, and then we were basically cheering, weren't we?
Yes. Oh god. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Glitch. That's one of the biggest goddamn hits of the season. Like, the perfectly timed hit.
And we absolutely have to stress perfectly timed here because Hydra was doing its best to self-right, wasn't quite working out, and on one of its attempts to self-right, as it threw itself back into here, as it was about to come back down, Glitch positioned itself perfectly underneath and ripped the weapon apart, punted it back into the air, and Hydra was just in pieces by the end of this fight. It was amazing.
It was goddamn beautiful.
Glitch landing a goddamn miracle shot.
Yes.
Just perfect placement.
God, what's
in much the same way that Cobalt ripped Ghost Raptor to pieces, Glitch just manages to line up the perfect shot and scores one of the best knockouts of the season so far.
Oh, yeah.
In what is absolutely the upset of the season so far.
Oh, I don't see anything like any fight like topping this like for upsets because this is a robot that like in its first showing you could see the potential, but like it had a long way to go, and for it to like
worked out.
Yeah, and for it to like knock out like pretty much a legend at this point, like of the sport.
A legitimate strong contender for the championship.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally the #1 seed from last year. Like knock it out legitimately. Fucking, it's insane. It's actually insane.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This puts Hydra at a 1-2 record this season as well. And its one win wasn't even when it was operating at full power, and it's been kind of limping throughout the season. I am actually wondering what this means for Hydra's selection committee chances.
Yeah, honestly, like considering P1 didn't get in last year, I honestly think that Hydra might not make it this year.
Now, to be fair, P1 last year was a reserve. If another robot had to drop out, it would have gotten into the tournament.
I mean, true, yeah. Like, Hydra could end up in that same spot, though. But, like, also name value, but, yeah. We'll have to see,
I figure due to their reputation more so than anything and their previous showings, Hydra will probably get into the selection in much the same way that Tombstone managed to get in, largely based on legacy last year after coming in with a 1-2 record.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't see Hydra winning the nut this year.
No, like, unless it pulls off a massive, like, fucking crazy run and, like, gets back to where it was. Because, like, with that first flip in this fight, like, it seemed like Hydra was back in business. But then, like, it just sort of snagged on something.
Looked like it was back to full power.
Yeah, Dennis snagged on something and just everything fell apart again.
Yeah, his glitch just topples the legend. It was
Yeah.
fantastic.
What? Yeah.
A brilliant bomb fest of a fight, 9 out of 10, and upset of the season so far. And I am
Uh,
so happy for the rookie team.
oh, hell yeah.
Now, up next, we have another driving match of free shipping versus Tombstone. And Mac, something you pointed out earlier regarding the tires.
Ah, yes. No tires, no movement. Free shipping has fucking words to say about that.
Oh, yes. Now, this was the thing. Uh, Mac, you came into this backing Tombstone. I actually came in backing free
Yep,
shipping
of course.
because of free shipping's history of facing Tombstone at Robo games under different names, Original Sim versus Last Rites, for example.
Yep, yep.
And my big note here is do not see Tombstone making it to the brackets if it loses here. And Ray seemed a little bit tentative, maybe nervous going into the fight as well. Uh, Now, this wasn't a competitive fight. Tombstone actually it basically ripped free shipping apart in a bunch of ways, as it ripped off 3 of its 4 wheels. And this is where it comes into play. On literally 1 wheel, free shipping remained in the fight and managed to actually stay alive and even keep menacing Tombstone to the point that Tombstone's weapon broke.
Free shipping.
That was incredible.
Free shipping basically was driving around like nothing had fucking happened. It was kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Like, this is the thing. It's so hard. Right, we've seen robots get counted out for losing wheels and everything, for not being able to show translational movement. Free shipping is so brilliantly engineered that on 1 of its 4 wheels, it managed to retain translational movement and take Tombstone to a judge's decision. It wasn't a close judge's decision at all, and I would argue that Tombstone won pretty much all the categories, but god damn if Joss Guan's machine does not show heart.
It is a beautiful fucking machine.
Yes, I love free shipping for exactly this reason. It takes the hits, it will not die, and it's just so stunningly driven. It's fantastic.
You know what will die though? Tombstone's weapon every single fucking fight.
Oh yeah, this has not been a good season for Tombstone in regards to reliability, especially considering up until now, Tombstone was known for its weapon constantly keeping going. It was very hard to break Tombstone's weapon.
Yeah. Like last 2 seasons just
Unless
have
you're
not been
Bite
good.
Force.
Yeah,
Unless you're Bite Force anyway. Because Bite Force literally destroying Tombstone's blade at one point, that was magnificent.
Oh yeah, true.
But yeah, this wasn't a competitive or even a very exciting fight, all things considered. So I'm not going to give it a high score or anything like that. But in regards to spectacle, I do have to give it props for, like I said, free shipping, remaining alive on literally 1 wheel for the entirety of the fight. That was amazing.
Oh hell yes.
And I noticed in the post-fight interview, Ray does not sound confident.
No, he knows something's wrong with the robot.
Yeah, I think at this point, he doesn't have the confidence for this one. He'll probably come back strongly again next season, but
Hopefully.
yeah, I think he knows that the writing is on the wall that this isn't a season that he's going to win.
Yeah. Again, unless like something crazy happens, but who knows?
True, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, we
Coming up
literally
next-
saw the crazy thing happen in the previous fight. So, hey,
You know what? Fair point. Fair point. Okay, coming up next, we have Battle of the Racing Stripes, the Battletoad Ribot versus the phenomenal P1.
I still love how I goddamn called the Ribot thing. Like, this is beautiful.
It really is. Right. Ribot's little racing stripe as well. That was adorable. Right. This was one of those fights coming in. I didn't want either team to lose. Like, because, you know, Ribot is adorable and is just an absolutely mighty little machine. And I love P1 as well for the race car aesthetic as well. And as well as the fact that it's a very solidly engineered robot. And I love front hinged flippers as well. So, you know, this is one I didn't want either to lose. You backed Ribot because you love you some Ribot, of course.
Ribot's been killing it this season, so of course.
Absolutely. And I backed P1 because I really wanted P1 to do well.
Yep, and it did.
Some good highlights for both teams in the early package as well. My big notice that this could be a great driving bout, and they did a great job highlighting the new plow on P1 as well.
Yeah.
Nothing to say.
Look, I don't really have anything to say.
Well, you know what we need to talk about?
What?
Farouk with his strong Muppet Show game here.
Yeah, true.
With the brilliant intro for Rebot, and concluding with him doing the Kermit arms as well.
Yes. Oh god, I need to add this. I need to fucking put that video in now.
I mean, after all, Farouk is the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Muppetational announcer there is out there.
True.
He is the best. And yeah, interesting configuration for P1 this time, and the way that they lined up to each other as well, like actual racing cars as well.
Oh, yes, that was... I love that. You love to see that.
The atmosphere going into this fight was amazing. Like, there was so much character between these two machines as well, because like they're not like your standard four-wheel drive vertical spinners. I mean, to a degree, Rebot is, but Rebot also has character as well, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about it. And P1 is just so aesthetically pleasing.
Oh,
like,
yes.
it's such a sleek little machine, and I love it to death.
It is. It absolutely is.
And overall, and there's not really that much to say about this fight other than that it was a great driving fight with some really cool moments, both of them threatening each other at various moments. Great strategy demonstrated by both teams, but eventually Rebot manages to assert itself and score a really cool knockout when it disables half of P1 and knocks it up onto the shelf to be counted out.
Yeah, lovely end. Some good hammering in this fight. It was good. A very good driving fight.
Yes, absolutely. Another one of those fights that just makes you glad to be a fan. Strong 8 out of 10 victory for Rebot here, and Rebot is definitely going to the tournament. And I'm hoping P1 follows it in there as well.
Oh, they're both absolutely making it this year.
Yeah, because P1 coming in with a 2-1 victory streak as well. Yeah. So, and
both
it's one loss this season. Yeah. It's one loss this season is up against Rebot, and, you know, it was such a good fight that I can't see P1 being left out in the cold this time.
Exactly, yeah.
One of the most improved robots in the field, and I'm so glad to see them do well, especially after their fantastic fight against Valkyrie a few weeks ago.
Oh, yes, lad.
Now, before we came to the main event, we got a great spotlight on the hospital, which I believe is a big 3D printing setup that allows them to create new parts for the competitors to use. Now, I don't know if the Battlebots staff have them on retainer, but I think this really just highlights how far technology and the sport has come in the last few years, and also the really strong sense of community at play in Battlebots as well.
Yeah, this was fucking great. This was awesome to see. Like, I honestly I've been loving, like, all the behind-the-scenes sort of stuff, like, for this show, because it's... God, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, like, really interesting.
Yeah, getting to see all the nuts and bolts behind the scenes of the behind-the-scenes goings-on with the show, and just knowing that that's back there as well, that now we don't have competitors having to go in basically limping and without their robot at full potential, because now they have access to parts behind the scenes as well, and not just what they can bring from their workshops. That's awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
And yeah, it's just brilliant to see that sort of stuff at play in this, and it really highlights just the growth of this sport as a whole, and it's just wonderful. Now, we come to the main event of the evening, a fight both of us were incredibly hyped for. But unfortunately, it seems like this episode was to end not with a bang, but a whimper.
Nah, it was a bang. It was a big bang. It was a 10-second bang.
Yes, both of us came into this one backing Endgame because obviously you got to put our money on the champ in this one, and it had a very strong main event feel, another big pro wrestling main event vibe that unfortunately turned out to be short-lived, as we saw what was essentially a repeat of Endgame's fight with Tombstone from a season ago.
Yeah.
As right away, Sawblaze comes rushing out the box. It doesn't quite manage to line up a hit, and Endgame manages to get behind and, in one of the most perfectly placed shots, rings Sawblaze out by knocking it into the one place that you can still score an out of the arena flip.
This was the Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg of Battlebots.
I don't know if I would say that, Mac. That
Nah.
one had a lot of hits from both. This was just Endgame hitting it once.
No. I mean the first one. I mean the first one has like where like it was straight up just a squash match.
Oh, right, yeah. I'm thinking of their Bombfest rematch from
No,
WrestleMania.
it's the fucking Survivor Series match.
Ah, yes. Fair enough. Okay, but yeah, this was hopefully we'll get a rematch between the two of them in the actual tournament itself, because there's no way that Sawblaze isn't making it into the tournament. It had two fantastic fights before this one, and this one you have to figure they need to rematch these two at some point.
Oh,
because,
absolutely.
Like, there is no way that the one meeting between these two can be this. Like it can't just end here.
I'll be honest, I could see the finals being Endgame versus Soulblaze 2. I could absolutely see that being the finals.
I'd be very happy to see that, and if that happens, I want Sawblaze to go all the way and win. Because Sawblaze is one of my picks to win the season.
I mean, I still want Endgame. I still have Endgame.
Well, of course you do, Mr. New Zealand.
Hey, fuck! Hang on a minute. But yeah, Endgame is absolutely gonna be the #1 seed this year. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. I mean, coming in, they're already the champ, so of course they were going to have the #1 seed by default, but they've been very, very strong throughout the season, even taking that out of consideration.
Yep.
Sawblaze, I have to figure, will be in, like, the top 4 seeds, not having a perfect record now, because we saw it basically have angry sex with both Mad Catter and Minotaur as well, and considering how strong both of those teams are, yeah. Sawblaze, very strong pick to possibly win the season, and I'm really hoping that we get a rematch in the tournament, hopefully in the final, but if not, then maybe around the semi-finals. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff to see anyway.
Yeah.
I don't really have a score for the main event because it wasn't really a fight, it was just a moment, but I will give it an honorable mention for Knockout of the Night.
It was a spectacle.
Yes, exactly. It's one of those, like you said, it's like Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. Technically 2, but more like 1 for the era that it was.
Oh yeah,
because it was
just
a spectacle moment.
I don't know why. I do know why I fucking blocked out that first one.
Because it was the shit.
I mean, look, Austin was cool in it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Neither of the other two were inspired to perform.
Yep, they were both out the door, and so was Sawblaze with this fight because it was literally at the door.
Well played. Okay, so with that, we will come to the weekly awards. Mac, do you want to take it away and lead the way with the awards this week?
So let me fucking open my notes. I don't have my notes. Let me open up the fucking DM. Here's the DM. Okay, so let's see, where do we start? I guess start with actually let's start with best driver, because who are you thinking? Because I actually have a solid like decision for this.
Okay, I figured for driving it was going to be between either Blacksmith or Ribbot.
Okay, yeah.
Part of me wants to give it to Blacksmith, but the other part wants to give it to Ribbot.
Okay,
see, both fantastically driven.
Okay, see, I've decided to give it to Ribbot because Ribbot was so perfectly driven, while Blacksmith, while also greatly driven, was still getting like hit a lot. It still lost its weapon, and yeah, like it was just a tank, but like it was still like a very well-driven tank. While Ribbot, like, not only was it well-driven, it still won the fight. So yeah,
managed to execute its game plan perfectly, whereas Blacksmith wasn't quite able to do that.
Exactly, yes.
You know what? Okay, with that in mind, Ribbot gets the nod for best driver this week. Blacksmith gets the runner-up on that.
Yes.
That being said, Blacksmith will not be going home being left out in the cold, because it's still going to win the Best Performance in a Losing Effort award for this week.
Exactly.
Although, that being said, I do want to nominate for the runner-up in that regard to be P1, because P1 put up an excellent fight against Ribbot, even if it did ultimately lose quite handily.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Do you want to take the next award, or should I?
You can keep going.
Okie dokie, with that, we will come to the combination Knockout of the Night and Dark Horse Victory of the Week. both of them going to Glitch for its spectacular knockout of Hydra.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely goddamn
Yeah.
beautiful.
Perfectly lined up, perfect placement, one of the best hits of the season, and the upset of the entire season, and arguably one of the big upsets since the show's reboot 6 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, cause I can't really think of any other fight that, like, had that big, like, a fucking, experience gap, like, where, like, the less experienced team wins.
Mm, mm. And with that, we come to Fight of the Night. And Mac, personally, I'm up for Blacksmith versus Malice for Fight of the Night. What about you?
No, I agree with that, because it was a brilliant starter, that's probably the best fight of the night, like, easily, because the other fights, like, were great, like, most of them anyway, like, fucking Ribbot versus P1, that was an awesome fight. Glitch versus Hydra for a different reason, but, like, Blacksmith versus Malice it was the best of everything, I think.
Yeah, just a knockdown, drag out brawl
Yeah.
from start to finish.
Exactly.
Okie dokie. Yeah. Okay, yep, I'm pretty comfortable with that then. With that, we are pretty much done discussing the episode for the week, unless we have anything we want to say about any of the tournament implications thus far.
I think we've already, like, I think we pretty much, like, got that sorted, like, with while talking about Endgame versus Soul Blaze.
I know. Okay, so with that, we come to the off-topic segment of the week, and Mac and I are both unanimous in what we want to talk about for this one, aren't we, Mac?
Yes, we
A
are.
certain professional wrestler who is very European has finally had enough and is walking out of the WWE. None other than the world-famous artist formerly known as Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, is officially a free agent.
You love to see it. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I am so excited for whatever he does next.
Absolutely, my dude. Right, now we have seen him basically languish in mid-card to upper mid-card hell for a decade at this point, and quite frankly, it got old years ago.
Like, how do you screw up Cesaro? How do you actually screw him up? Like, they had so many chances to make him a star. They literally, his one fucking weakness was his promos, but they gave him Paul Heyman, and they screwed that up.
Well, let's be fair. I feel like that was kind of some malicious booking on their part, where they were trying to, because they never saw what the fans saw in him, so they were attempting to essentially make him heat-proof after a while.
Probably.
Because, like, there are some wrestlers that they've been around so long that it doesn't matter how good they are or what they do. Eventually, you get to a point where the fans simply no longer care about them, because it's like, why should I care about you at this point?
Yeah, true.
And as much as I loathe to say that about Cesaro, he was kind of getting into that territory a while ago, but this is the thing. He's always managed to stay at least somewhat relevant during his time.
He always comes back.
Because he's just such a fantastic talent. Like, he is legitimately one of the best all-around wrestlers in the world, as far as in-ring talent goes.
Absolutely, absolutely. They really
seriously, after WrestleMania 30, man, how could they have screwed that up so badly? Like I said, it feels more like malicious booking than anything else.
All they had to do was turn him face.
Seriously. Because, I mean, the fans have been wanting to cheer him for a while. He'd been gradually getting more and more over time, especially after he had that absolutely fantastic match during the Gauntlet match against Daniel Bryan.
Oh, God, yeah. Also the match with Orton, where he fucking won.
Yes. Oh, dude, that was a fantastic match.
Hell yeah.
And I believe he made the final. I believe he made the final 3 of that Elimination Chamber, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, anyway. But yet the fans have been desperately wanting to cheer him for ages, and we saw that when he turned on. Am I remembering right that he turned on Swagger that night as well at WrestleMania 30 before he won the Battle Royal?
I think it was the night after.
Ah. Because I know that they had Swagger take the fall in the tag match. Then they had him enter the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and not only win, but win by body slamming Big Show over the top rope, and it looked amazing. And when that happened, the roof on that stadium came unglued.
It was
The fans went absolutely ballistic for him.
That was fucking. I love that moment so much. It should have been the launching point. It
really should have. But let's face it, they were just trying to use Cesaro as someone to keep Paul Heyman relevant for a little while Brock was off TV.
Yeah, true.
And the really sad part is they kept trying to make it clear that they only saw Cesaro as a utility guy by only ever having him in the mid-card, not even having him win any mid-card singles titles during that time, and only really finding success in the tag ranks.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Cesaro is a man of such talent that he managed to remain over and relevant for years, even just being part of the tag ranks.
Yeah, true.
Because look, like they put him with Tyson Kidd because neither of them had anything to do. They became a fantastic team until unfortunately Kidd got his really bad neck injury.
Yeah.
And then they put him with Sheamus because they needed something for Sheamus to do, and they became an absolutely fantastic team together.
Exactly.
Because Cesaro is one of the world's best tag team wrestlers ever.
Yes. Oh god, yeah.
I mean, he already had tons of tag experience from the Indies when he was working in the Kings of Wrestling with Chris Hero.
Yep.
Which I'm hoping that we'll get to see a reunion at some point as well. Fingers crossed.
Yep, that's the dream.
And we also saw the fantastic United States title open challenge that John Cena was doing years ago, and Cesaro had some of the absolute standout matches in that, working with Cena. You could tell Cena really wanted to help elevate Cesaro in all of that as well, from what I can tell.
I'm honestly surprised Cena didn't push harder for like a fucking program of Cesaro, because like that would have been amazing.
To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he did push for it and they just said, nah, you're above where Cesaro is.
He should have told him to fuck off then. That's done it anyway.
Who knows? The point is, Cesaro's been in WWE for a decade at this point. He's never been given the shine that he deserves, but now the sky is the limit for what he could do from here. Mac, where do you think he's going to end up? Because right now there's a bit of discussion as to where he's going to end up between AEW, Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, so on and so forth.
Like, oh god, like, okay, so he can pretty much go, if I remember right, he can go anywhere, like, literally right now, like, right this moment, because, like, his contract's fully expired.
As far as I'm aware, he doesn't have a non-compete clause.
Yeah, so I think the immediate dream is, like, Kings of Wrestling showing up in AEW next week. But but Hero hasn't has Hero wrestled since getting released?
I think he's done some stuff, but I'm not too sure.
Right, because I haven't noticed anything specific, but this would be a great moment for him to show up with Cesaro. Because they have that tournament tag team gauntlet on Wednesday, so. That's gonna be something.
That would be a good shout. Thinking about it, and AEW does love its indie tag teams after all.
Yeah, true. Other than that, I'd love to see him go to Noah or BSAW.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Good.
Okay, so there is also debate whether or not he could still become a world champion, because admittedly he is getting a bit old now. He is 41, but we know that age is just a number in the pro wrestling business, if you're doing it right.
He's still an amazing wrestler. There's no reason not to give him the world title.
Yeah, and the thing is, as much athletic tape as he's worn over the years, he manages to work a style that, despite being aggressively technical, he's honestly not being shown to be injury prone or anything like that. His body has held up remarkably well for the intensity that he wrestles with.
Yeah, I can only remember one injury in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, and the only one that I can remember, other than, I don't know, maybe some shoulder strain or something, is when he got one of his teeth knocked out.
Oh yeah, true. Wait, didn't he break?
And other than that, and other than that, and the broken thumb, like you just said. Other than that, he's remained in remarkably good condition. I think because he's an absolute fantastic fitness guy.
Yep.
I mean, you see some of the videos of him working out, and you think, "Oh my God, look at this absolute unit." Yeah, because
Okay.
the man is built like a tank.
He's built
And
different.
this is one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons that I want to see him go to AEW actually, because AEW is full of smaller wrestlers as well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so you don't really get an idea watching WWE just how big Cesaro is, because WWE is the land of the giants.
I need.
Whereas you know,
Yeah, keep going.
so yeah, just hook it into my veins with him in AEW, please.
I need Claudio goddamn uppercutting Darby Allin to death in the craziest fucking
Yes.
ways
Oh
possible.
man, yeah, we saw what he did with Brian years ago. He would splatter Darby all over the place, and Darby would just keep coming, and it would be amazing.
Darby would want to do it in the fucking sickest ways possible, and I need that.
Yes.
I also-
Oh man, can you imagine the elevation that a guy as strong as Cesaro would get throwing
Dude,
him up for the uppercut?
that would fucking rule.
He'd fucking throw him 10 feet into the air.
He could.
Easy.
He easily fucking could. I mean, fucking Keith Lee goddamn tossed what's his name like on Dynamite like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude, I am so in for this. I really hope that he goes to AEW
God.
for this.
I also need him fighting goddamn Wardlow. That match would fucking
Okay,
rule.
no.
Just beef.
Yes or no? Could you see him becoming a world champion in AEW? Because the jury is out on that.
Yes, absolutely.
I absolutely think that he could.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying stuff like, "No, he's mid card for life," or "No, he can't cut a promo." The thing is, his awkward promos in WWE were because it's stuff that's written for him. I think that when he gets to actually be himself, like we'd see him do behind the scenes sometimes, I think he will absolutely be able to cut good promos again.
Honestly, I think he got better like towards the end of the run. Cause like
He really did.
I'm pretty sure like the promos against Seth were pretty decent.
Yeah, and when he got a chance to show his actual real life personality, he was pretty good on the mic. I think.
Oh yeah. Actually, he was really good on the JBL and Cole show. He was really fun on that.
Yeah, because he has more leeway there and could actually be himself.
Yeah.
So I think that, especially with some of the people working behind the scenes in AEW, I think he'll have a chance to really shine if he goes there.
Absolutely.
So fingers crossed, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Point is, the sky is the limit for everybody's favorite Swiss cyborg, and I am here for it.
God, I can't wait for it.
Ah, yes. Right, okay, so with that, we come to the end of the episode. Mac, do you have anything else that you want to say this week?
Nope, we're good.
Cool. Well, until next time, everybody, thank you for possibly tuning in to the slowest growing Battlebots podcast on the internet. I'm Jack, he's Mac. Take care, stay safe. We love you.
Later.